Stoicism is a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece, around the 3rd century BCE, and later became popular in ancient Rome. It is a practical philosophy that teaches individuals how to live a good life by focusing on personal virtue, wisdom, and self-control, while accepting things outside of their control with equanimity. The Stoic philosophy is often associated with notable figures such as Epictetus, Seneca, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. However, digressed is a common issue every day. We are facing this today. We will discuss how to face it. How would you manage slight is a typical test that we all face throughout everyday life, and it tends to be very disturbing and baffling. However, consider the possibility that we could gain from the old way of thinking of emotionlessness, which shows us how to handle tough spots with intelligence. What's more, beauty. In this video, we will investigate 10 down-to-earth indifferent rules that can assist us with adapting to slight in a superior way as expected. I challenge you to be solid and remain with me till the finish of the video. We should start one. Stay even-tempered. One of the center lessons of aloofness is that we are not upset by what happens to us, yet by our thought process about what befalls us. As Epictetus said, individuals are upset not by things, but rather by the view they take off them. This implies that disregard isn't innately destructive or hostile. It is our understanding and judgment of it that drive us feel hurt or crazy-free when somebody affronts you. Recall that their way of behaving is their very own consequence. Contemplation, sentiments, and feelings, not an impression of your actual worth or worth. This can assist you with staying even-tempered and not allow their irreverence to influence your close-to-home state too. Ponder yourself. Another significant part of emotionlessness is the act of self-reflection and self-assessment. The Stoics trusted that the nature of our contemplations decides the nature of our lives, and that we ought to continuously endeavor to work on ourselves and our activities. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The bliss of your life relies on the nature of your viewpoints." When you face affront, it is fundamental to think about yourself and ask yourself inquiries like, is there any reality in what the individual said, or did I do or say anything that incited this present circumstance? How could I answer in a manner that is reliable with my qualities and ethics? By thinking about yourself and the circumstance impartially, you can acquire a better comprehension of the occasion and your own job in it. Self-reflection is an unemotional method of it, are based to guarantee that your reactions on objective judgment as opposed to hasty responses. It assists you with learning from the circumstance and advances individual development and shrewdness. 3. Figure out how to stop. Seneca once said, at whatever point you are irate, be guaranteed that it isn't just a present evil. However, that you have expanded a propensity. Stoics have faith in the significance of poise and sanity. They contend that incautious responses driven by extraordinary feelings like resentment or dissatisfaction frequently lead to unfortunate choices. Also, pointless torment when confronted with affront. The emotionless approach urges you to keep away from responding indiscreetly. Rather, take a second to delay and gather your considerations. This respite permits you to recapture command over your feelings and gives you the valuable chance to answer in a more estimated and insightful way. By opposing the drive to respond promptly, you can all the more likely adjust your reaction with unemotional standards of shrewdness. Furthermore, restraint. This approach frequently prompts more valuable and less sincerely accused associations. When looked of, affront stopping is a vital, indifferent methodology to keep calm and make normal choices when stood up to with affront, eventually prompting more positive results and self-improvement. 4. Have compassion. Epictetus and other persuasive unemotional logicians says, look for not the positive qualities in outer things, look for it in yourselves. Stoics put stock in the interconnectedness of humankind, and that understanding the inspirations and feelings of others can lead to better communications and individual development. When somebody shows affront, emotionlessness proposes rehearsing sympathy. Attempt to place yourself in the other individual's shoes and comprehend their viewpoint. Compassion can assist you with seeing the circumstance from an alternate point and understand that the individual's lack of respect may not be individual or deliberate. It could be caused by their own weaknesses, fears, or obliviousness. Compassion can likewise assist you with feeling sympathy for the individual and lessen your pessimistic sentiments towards them. By sympathizing with the individual who disregarded you, can try not to take their words or activities actually and answer in a more deferential and stately way. Sympathy assists you with understanding the individual's point of view, sentiments, and inspirations, as opposed to blowing up or protective. You can answer with consideration. What's more, regard this way you can try not to heighten the struggle and keep up with your pride. Sympathy additionally mirrors the emotionless standards of shrewdness, sympathy, and personal growth. It empowers you to learn from testing circumstances and develop as an individual. By rehearsing compassion, you can adapt to slight in a more sure, furthermore productive way. Before I continue, consider yourself an exemption for making it this far into the video. Now that you have shown areas of strength for how we should make it till the finish of the video 5. Focus on righteousness. One of the primary thoughts of emotionlessness is to foster ideals like insight and mental fortitude. These are the characteristics that assist us with live welling and act appropriately. Seneca. That's what a well-known, indifferent thinker composed prudence isn't anything else than right explanation. This implies that being righteous is the same as being normal and predictable with the normal request of things. Stoics accept that ethicalness is the most noteworthy trait throughout everyday life, and that everything else is uninterested when we face slight from others. Apathy educates us to zero in on righteousness in our reaction. This doesn't imply that we ought to overlook or, on the other hand, endure the lack of respect, but instead that we ought to answer in a manner that mirrors our indifferent qualities and standards by zeroing in on uprightness. We can try not to be impacted by our feelings, keep up with our pride and trustworthiness, and develop as an individual. Apathy provokes us to be the most ideal adaptation of ourselves, even in tough spots. 6. Embrace acknowledgement. One of the critical examples of emotionlessness is to acknowledge the things that are not in our control, like the lack of regard of others. Epictetus said he is a savvy man who does not lament for the things which he has not yet, cheers for those which he has. This implies that we ought to be appreciative for what we have and not stress over what we need. Apathy additionally helps us to recognize between what is in our control and what isn't, which is known as the emotionless division of control. We can handle our own considerations, sentiments, and activities. However, not the outside occasions or the way of behaving of others in this manner. When we face disregard, we shouldn't allow it to influence our inward harmony. Rather, we ought to acknowledge it as a part of life and spotlight on what we can do to work on ourselves and our circumstance. By tolerating disregard with emotionlessness, we can keep away from pointless resentment, dissatisfaction. Furthermore, disdain we can likewise gain from the experience. What's more, develop as an individual. This helps us to manage slight in a sane and quiet way. 7. Use humor some of the time. A little chuckling goes a long way. As the antiquated logician Seneca said, "You have dominated yourself when you know how to manage what you ought to not view in a serious way." Apathy trains us to control our feelings and act objectively. However, it moreover perceives the worth of humor in adapting with testing circumstances. Humor can assist us with keeping our close-to-home equilibrium and try not to fly off the handle or irritated when somebody affronts us. Rather than allowing our feelings to get the best of us, we can decide to answer with a clever comment or a perky joke. Of course, humor ought not be utilized improperly or unnecessarily. Yet it can be a helpful, indifferent method to handle disregard in a manner that makes a more certain and serene result. 8. Put down clear stopping points. Apathy is not tied in with being a mat. It's about
being a stone that stands firm in the substance of lack of respect and treachery, a rock that knows its worth and requests regard from others, a stone that controls what it can and relinquishes what it can't, At the point when somebody affronts you, don't need to accept it without a fight. You don't need to suddenly erupt out of frustration. Possibly you can be quiet and decisive. You can tell them what they fouled up and how you anticipate them to treat you, can set clear and sensible limits that safeguard your poise and self-confidence. This is what emotionlessness shows us. It trains us to be solid, just and brave. It helps us to regard ourselves and others. It helps us to keep up with our internal control and our external respect in any circumstance. 9. Pick pardoning. Envision somebody slights you. How would you respond? Do you blow up out of frustration, or do you let it go? The antiquated way of thinking of emotionlessness has an insight to offer Stoics trust that pardoning isn't some help to the next individual, yet a gift to yourself. Pardoning is the way to inward harmony. What's more, joy. Yet pardoning isn't simple. It doesn't mean neglecting or endorsing what happened. It implies deciding to deliver the negative feelings that are harming you more than any other individual. Stoics say that we ought to pardon all, however not aimlessly. We ought to excuse astutely with empathy and equity. Apathy helps us to zero in on what we have some control over and let go of what we can't. We have zero control over how others act, yet we have some control over how we answer. We can decide to excuse and free ourselves from the weight of outrage and disdain. We can decide to continue on with a feeling of inward harmony and serenity. That is what emotionlessness implies by pardoning. It's anything but a shortcoming. However a strength, it's anything but a give-up. However a triumph, it's anything but a penance. However a prize, pardoning is a definitive demonstration of taking care of oneself and self-improvement. 10. Really impact your viewpoint. Viewpoint is the capacity to see things from a more extensive and more goal point of view. It assists you with keeping away from blowing up or thinking about things literally at the point when somebody disregards you. Rather, it assists you with understanding that discourtesy is not no joking matter in the fabulous plan of things, as the unemotional ruler. Marcus Aurelius said, "Our life is what our considerations make it." When you use point of view, you can see that most cases of lack of respect are minor and impermanent. They don't influence your actual worth or satisfaction. You can likewise see that disregard is in many cases an impression of the other individual's obliviousness, uncertainty, or shortcoming. Not yours. You can decide to overlook it, excuse it, or gain from it, as opposed to allowing it to annoy you. Point of view likewise assists you with zeroing in on the main thing in life, your objectives, values, and temperances. You can utilize your energy and time to seek after what is great. Furthermore, significant for you instead of squandering them on disdain or retribution. By doing so, you can carry on with a seriously satisfying, also serene life. So next time you face slight, make sure to utilize point of view. It will assist you with staying calm and composed and act admirably consistently. Recollect that apathy isn't tied in with smothering your feelings in any case. Overseeing them well by applying these 10 standards, you can remain even-tempered and solid when you face disregard and impolite conduct. Surrender a thumbs to help us contact more individuals looking for antiquated insight. Assuming you are new here, buy in and stir things up around town. Chime for more illustrations on antiquated astuteness. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in our next video to observe more apathetic insight recordings. Select one of the recordings that will show up on your screen. Presently stay apathetic. Please like and subscribe our channel.